How do you think Brodie Croft looked today?
Thought he looked like Brodie Croft, but in a better coloured jersey.
Leeds has won back-to-back Rugby League titles. The golden generation finally has its golden fleece. No England game, it seems, is complete without a Ryan Hall try. Jamie Peacock.
Kevin Sinfield.
Rob Burrow.
Jamie George Buchanan for Leeds.
It's one of the most popular beards in rugby league, that.
There aren't many in Super League that can do that.
We just want to be a great friend, and if we can all try and be a bit of a better friend from time to time, I think we have a bit of a better place to live in.
The Lot Pod is kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. Fast Signs are an established family-run business who've been providing businesses around Leeds and West Yorkshire with effective signs and graphics for almost 30 years. Fast Signs are passionate about helping customers make a statement with signs that are eye-catching, effective and delivered fast. Alright you lot, welcome to the Lot Pod. The Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. It's weekly roundup time. I'm your host, Eddie, and of course, joining me as always, my right-hand man, my co-host, but our amazing statsman. Statman Reese, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good. Nice to be back in the room with you again. You had plenty of congratulations come your way.
Thank you very much. I got lots of congratulations off the back of you mentioning it on the pod, so I am back. I've just had a baby. For those who are wondering what the hell is going on, I've just had another kid. Yes, I'm mental, and I can't blame the lack of hair for any of my children because I was bald way before they were even thought of. Rob were good. Rob were great. How about that?
Yeah, no, Rob was great, and Josh was great as well. But no, it's really nice to have Rob on the podcast. So for us who've listened to the Square Ball for years, it was a bit weird actually speaking to Rob, knowing that I listen to him probably once or twice a week. So I feel like, that's how people feel when they see us now. I get it, really. I get it now. But no, it was good. It was great to have Josh in the studio for his first appearance as well.
It was, but we know Josh is great, Mixed Master Josh, but it was lovely to see them, both of them, and to get Josh into the ACDB studios again. I was absolutely amazed by Rob's age. I know I spoke to you.
Yeah, I was offended by your reply to that because I thought Rob was younger than I was, and then you were like, well, yeah, so did I. But you were a bit ruder than that, I think. Yeah, you're a bit more blunt than I was.
You look 82, Eddie. Yeah, I thought we were about 20. Genuinely.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really
really young.
He's actually older than me. I'm not even 30 yet, and he is 30. So yeah.
So he is actually really, really old. Just to kind of tie off that Huddersfield match review panel, just to confirm, the Fast Signs player of the match is Reece Martin. So Reece Martin wins. Is that the first time this year? Kind of throwing you under the bus there a little.
Funny enough, no, it's not. It's the second time because it's the second time.
Yeah.
I think.
Well done to Reece Martin. He is the Fast Signs player of the match for that terrible, terrible Huddersfield game. Felt sorry for you all reviewing that, by the way. Anyway, on to what's new this week. Statman Reese, what's happening in the world of the Rhinos?
So we've got a bit to catch up on because unfortunately we missed the weekly roundup from a couple of weeks ago. So I'll just quickly run through some of the results that have been going on. So firstly, we'll kick off with the netball side. So they've played 2 games since we've last done the weekly roundup. The first of which they lost to Manchester Thunder, 67-37, but then they got back to winning ways with a 44-55 win against Strathclyde. That leaves them 7th in the table, and there are 10 places in the table from that perspective. We've then got the women, who are our shining light, as they always are. They've played 2 games recently, and they've not really been close encounters. To be fair, there was the Challenge Cup. They've conceded 14 points in the last 2 games and scored 136. Wow. So that started off with a Challenge Cup quarter-final win against Warrington, with a 70 points to 10 win, where Ruby Enright got 4 tries in that game. And then in round 1 of Betfred Super League against the Giants, they won 66-4, where Hornby, Cousins and Murray all got hat-tricks in that game.
Hornby's try, that full length.
Yes. Now, that try should officially be disallowed by the Prop Forward Union, because that is... when we used to joke that McDermott's try gets longer and longer each time he talks about it, at least Zoe Hornby can start at 50, 60 metres.
Yeah, and it's accurate.
And it's accurate. So, yeah, great. I think there's a potential to try of the season for the Rhinos already, considering you've got Ashes in there as well. Some great tries. The academies have also had some games. So the under-16s scholarship team beat Wakefield 44-16. And the good news is that the men's senior side isn't the worst team, because it currently stands with the under-18s. They lost 18-34 to Wigan, and that means they've lost 3 from 3 and sit bottom of the table on points difference underneath Bradford Bulls. So under 18s need some love and a turnaround. Irony being it's the coach is called Tony Smith. Reserves have also played recently, and unfortunately they lost in the last minute to KR, 30 points to 25, which means that they've got a record of 1 win in 4 this year. So that's all the results. But back onto what's coming up this weekend. The women play Warrington Wolves again, but they play at Headingley at 12 o'clock. It is being used as a precursor to the Leeds Tykes playing at Headingley, who are having 1 game away from Bramhope. It's £10 a ticket. Obviously, you get a double header. You get to watch the women, and you get to watch Leeds Tykes if you really want to do that. Just for info, Leeds Tykes are like National 2 North now. Like they've really dropped, bless them. Yeah. I went to go see them in the Power Cup final 2005. Like it's what a fall from grace. Anyway. So that's on Saturday, 12 p.m. The women are at Headingley. The under-18s are away at Hull this weekend, and they'll be looking for their first win with a 12 o'clock kickoff. Another team that competes with the Shining Light, the wheelchair side, they're kicking off their Challenge Cup quarter-final against Hereford this weekend, and that's at York St John on Saturday again at 12 p.m. And then arguably probably one of the biggest fixtures of the weekend is the netball team, who take on the reigning champions Loughborough at 4 p.m, but at the First Direct Arena, making their 3rd appearance at the arena. Tickets are still available. It's £19.95 for adults and £14.95 for juniors. So they are playing at the arena if anyone wants to go and watch them on Sunday. So that's the roundup. That's all the results. That's the fixtures. We go straight into the news, and it's an item that we didn't have time to cover on the Match Review panel last week. It was briefly mentioned, but that is the return of arguably one of the best wingers in Leeds Rhinos history.
The best,
and that is Ryan Hall returning in 2025 on a 1-year contract that will also see him join the commercial team after that year. So Ryan Hall is back, Eddie.
An absolute genius move. Quite surprised. Was I surprised? A little bit surprised by the reaction that I saw on social media about it. But to bring Ryan Hall back in any capacity it's a no-brainer for me. My only concern now is with Hawley coming back is just how good looking this Rhino side is. Ryan Hall, everyone's seen he is chiseled and he is honestly one of the best looking blokes. Probably second to Joey Manu, the Roosters. I thought
you were going to say Aletsky then, I'm not going to lie.
I think Joey Manu's the hottest guy in rugby league, but he's signed for the Japanese rugby union side. So Aletsky's going to go to number 1. Is Aletsky sexier than Hall? I think that's I don't know.
I used your Polish Adonis term at the weekend. I think you heard that.
You did that. That made me laugh. That really did make me laugh as I was awake doing a feed. God knows what. Is it? I know Ryan's 36, 37, but I'm thinking squad numbers for next year, and I think you have to give Ryan Hall the number 2 squad just for who he is. I don't think you can. Mate, I'll ask you in a second, but I don't think you can sign Ryan Hall with everything he's done for Leeds and say, right, Ryan, here's number 20. How do you see it?
I think my first thing on it, I mean, a bit like you, I was a bit disappointed in the reaction, and I think when I say disappointed, I was disappointed because Ryan Hall does not deserve to be talked about in the way that it was being talked about. Regardless of what you think, Ryan Hall is he's Rhino's legend, and I felt a bit sorry for him because I don't think that's fair reflection on his career from there, and he certainly won't want to finish quietly. We don't know if he's coming for a starting winger spot yet. I'm assuming that he'll want to be a starting winger because it's Ryan Hall, and it will benefit some of our younger players that are coming through. From that perspective, there is a good guy, and hopefully he can help in that coaching journey and bringing those players through. It would just be weird to see him in any number that isn't 5, to be honest. And I know obviously that's Ash's number, and Ash has made that shirt his own. Really, he's really has stepped up into Ryan Hall's shoes and has been a fantastic winger. So you can't take the number 5 off Ryan. Ash Hanley, sorry, I think any number that isn't. Can he have number 55? What about that? Is that like? Because I think 2 just feels weird for me as well.
55 would be cool, actually. That would actually be really cool. I just feel like it has to be 2. It's Ryan Hall, for Christ's sake. You can't. Welcome back, Ryan. Here's 27. They'd be like, no, that is sacrilege. Even if you give him number 2. And we sign a winger.
Yeah.
No.
And that's what I mean. I think if you did give him a number 2, I don't think it means he will be a starting winger. I'm still not sure. Obviously, the club haven't said he is replacing. Obviously, we've heard the news about Fussy, which we're going to talk about a bit later. But Rowan was saying that, Fussy's journey might not be over yet, and there's talks with management to be had, and that you can play different positions in true Rowan fashion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm going down the route of number 55. I think even number 2 feels weird for me.
Get 55 on Hawley. No, but great news, and it'll be amazing to see him back, even for the year he plays and seeing him around the club afterwards. Just a genius move.
Yeah, it's great. I really appreciate the fact he's retiring as a Rhino. I think he's still got. You'll still have something to offer next year, if not more than something. He'll still have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And I hope the talk just dies down a bit now because he doesn't deserve. His legacy doesn't deserve to be this year, whatever that year looks like. His legacy deserves to be a Leeds Rhinos legend, and that's what he is.
100%.
And to be honest with you, there's an argument which brings us into the team news section. But there's an argument to sign him now.
Bring him now. Like the bat signal. We need you now, Hawley.
Yeah.
Come back, Ryan.
And obviously, if anyone hasn't heard, we'll go straight into the team news, and that team news is that Fussy Tua is again due to spend a significant spell on the sidelines.
I'm just devastated.
Go on. Yeah, no, I'm gutted.
The rehab is done. The training David's done. I just feel gutted for him. Absolutely gutted. And 8 to 10 weeks, Rowan says. It's a long time. Might be coming back for the nitty-gritty. Might be perfect time for him to come back when he does come back. I kind of worked out earlier. I think he's played 31 games for the Rhinos so far. Signed in 2022. It's pretty much 10 games a year, or could work out to be, on average. 10 games a year for a quarter winger. Is that
for a marquee player
for a marquee winger? Which is, we were absolutely right to sign him, because when someone like that becomes available, you take him. But my concern is people I've spoke to today, off the back of this news, have said, we knew this guy was injury prone. He's always been injury prone. So why did we re-sign him last year?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course.
Yeah, and then we probably talked about this question at the beginning of the year when he was again out for 10 weeks. I'm gutted because I did see one of the comments on our video last week. Someone said he loves Fussy Tua. Fussy Tua is a fantastic player, and even in that first half, for the first tackle, he broke a tackle and we got a quick ball off it, and Andy Akers made 10 metres. And that's the sort of player Fussy is. He scored a try as well from there, and I think he's a brilliant player, and he's just someone that's potential to be a Rhinos legend was so sky high.
Yeah.
But it unfortunately, has it fallen flat on its arse? I don't think it's fallen flat on his arse, but it's certainly hit him hard on his arse. Because, like you said, 10 games a season, a marquee player in a quota spot. Unfortunately, we haven't got the value that we paid.
Yeah. No, it's
and I'm gutted because I think he's a brilliant player.
That's the thing. When it's like we've always said. Like everyone says, get him on the field is awesome. He just can't get on the field for long enough for whatever reason. Hopefully, this is the last one for David this year, and he comes back and hits the ground running and shows everybody what he's got, and then tries to, I don't know, plays for another, whether it's another deal at Leeds or another deal elsewhere, because he's only 29. He's still relatively new. But sad news.
So would you be knocking on KR's door now and just saying, look,
Absolutely.
we've seen we've seen so many movements, haven't we, this week in Super League? Tom Briscoe going back to Hull FC, so he's bound to score a fucking try this weekend. Sorry, Harry. Or George, I can't remember which kid it was called now.
No.
So, that was one move, and we saw Yusuf Aiding's gone to Hull. There's been so many moves this week.
Ed Chamberlain.
And I'm not... Ed Chamberlain, yeah, so I'm like... I feel like Hawley now would be not a bad option.
Absolutely. I'd be on the phone to Hull, but I think Hull KR, sorry. I think they'd just hang up because you look at the Briscoe, Aiding, Chamberlain, they're all shit players. So the likes of Lee and Hull KR and everything, they're like, you can take them because they're all shit. Whereas Hull KR be thinking, you can't have Ryan Hall, Leeds Rhinos can't have Ryan Hall because that makes you stronger, makes Leeds stronger for our playoffs. We're thinking, so Hull KR will think, no, get stood on. You're not having him now. You need to suffer. There's no way we're making you stronger unless Leeds said, right, put a bit of money in, to say, we'll give you this fee to kind of sign him now. So he'll be signed for the rest of this season and next year. I'd love him to come back. I think it'd lift everyone. I think it'd lift the fans to say, Hall is back and we're going to see him again this year. I think it's what we need, but could you potentially see that coming to fruition?
Can I see it? No, and I think you've probably hit the nail on the head. Whether you think we're in playoff contention or not, it's a different situation of letting Hull KR letting Ryan Hall come to us as it would be letting him go to Cass, for example, exactly. From there, because whilst we're some way off at the moment and we need to see improvement, it could be a part of the cog that improves us, helps us on that journey to get us back into form and in the playoffs. So if I'm KR, I won't be doing it easily.
No
from that perspective. The other question about Fussy that I thought I'll put to you, Eddie, is suggested in our chat, and I've seen it on other chats as well and other comments, that is it worth just paying Fussy off the contract and getting the quota spot now and using that now?
My only concern there is, and correct me if I'm wrong, and yourself or anyone listening, but I still think some part of his contract sits on the salary cap with an early I might be wrong.
Right.
I might be wrong. But so it would be a case of, if it were to be shaking hands with David, the club and David, to say, shake hands, we gave it a whirl, we tried, all the best, pat each other on the back and, kiss each other, and off he walks into the sunset.
Eddie, you didn't follow your own advice then. Your advice to me is always just say it confidently and everyone will believe it's true.
Oh, you're so right. No, you're right. I should have just said, no, actually, because that is 66% of Leeds Rhinos. So my concern is we'll let Fussy Tua go. I'm going to contradict myself here. What do you mean I always do that? Let Fussy Tua go. Only have so much for a new quarter spot, winger, whatever. But then it's a case of Fussy Tua sat in the stand. So surely the golden handshake, letting him go, bringing someone else in is better. But I don't know. I feel harsh on David Fussy Tua, but then I agree with what Kevin said. I think it was Josh, Mixmaster Josh, who spoke to us today and said when Kev came back, he said there's too much salary cap sat in the stands at Leeds, and that needs to change. And that's happening with David Fussy Tua. So perhaps that does need to happen. I don't know. I kind of feel harsh on Fussy Tua because I really like him. I think we all playing. I really like him. He seems to have settled over here. He's been here 2.5 years, so clearly he enjoys the culture. And I just feel like I can't say either way, because if he were to stay, I'd be like, that's fine. And if he were to leave and we sign someone, I'd also be saying, that's fine.
I'd only be letting him go in a situation that we're bringing someone in. Otherwise, there's no need to do it, you know. And then a part of it is like look after the player, and helping his recovery, because you never know. Absolutely. Like you say, come round 17, 18 with 9 rounds to go, he might be available and help us come in whatever position we're in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose I'd only do that option if we knew we had someone lined up, like Selesniak, Kortani Selesniak. Let's just bring him in.
Yeah, imagine him. Jesus Christ. The NRL sort of, I know things always happen out there, and that's where you do look whenever a quarter spot becomes available, obviously. But I guess the market forces your hand, doesn't it? If some NRL player becomes available now, and they're looking at Leeds Rhinos to say, do you want me? Then it might force Leeds' hand to say, right, we really need this push for the grand final now, Dave. Can you do us a favour and we'll pay you off? We'll see.
We'll see. But on your comment, Eddie, of too much salary cap sitting on the bench, the next player that's also ruled out for next week is Harry Newman, which I believe or would guess is our marquee homegrown spot. So Harry was sitting out. We've also got no Holroyd, no Bentley, who quoted today was out indefinitely.
Yeah.
And Gannon, so those 3 are out on concussion protocols, and Donaldson is still struggling with a lower back, and Hanley is in 50-50 territory right now.
Day to day, yeah.
So there's, again, where the injury sheet is has grown.
It's quite significantly.
At probably the worst time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Concerns regarding the concussion 3. Bentley, Holroyd, Gannon. Obviously, we know Morgan's had previous issue with concussion and he's been stood down until June. I think Rowan said, so there's still a long time or a couple of months for Morgan. We'll be whether he's training or playing in June. And then Bentley stood down indefinitely. Rowan's words today in the presser.
That's just been creeping. That sort of hasn't really grabbed any limelight, Bentley not being in, because it feels like he's not. I can't remember the last time he even played, to be honest. But that seems to have been dragging on in the background. It was only really today. It was
into something that was small.
Yeah,
gathered pace.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I remember with Matt Shaw's interview at the media day, and he was saying that Bentley looked in great nick and everything in the off season. He tipped him to be our play, one of the players to watch, and unfortunately, again, it's a player that's on the bench.
It's unfortunate because he's in the last year of his contract, so he's going to want to come back, get playing well to secure his own future, whether that's at Leeds or elsewhere. He's going to want to think about. I just wish him well, and I wish Tom and Morgan, I wish them all well, because concussions they can be really nasty, and no club knows that better than Leeds Rhinos.
Mm-hmm. So, to Hull on Sunday then.
A bit of a patched up side. I usually say to you at this point, the team picks itself, and then we kind of look at the bench where we kind of pick the bones apart for the bench. But it kind of does pick itself, but I think the area that we need to focus on, I'm sure you'll agree, is the outside backs and like what the hell's going to go on here because with nobody.
And previously, I thought this wouldn't be as much of a weakness because we've had depth at second row, but
Yes.
we haven't got Bentley or Garden either.
So Martin in that second row.
Well, I think that's option one. Well, in fact, that's my option two. My option one is McCormack.
Yeah.
For his first start. Martin, Momorowski, Roberts.
Yeah.
That would be my first option. In terms of the outside backs. I think option two is, and this is where I think you're really probably pushing the boat out too far. I think
keep pushing the boat, push it. If you get a barge ball, push it.
Well, if you have Momorowski and McCormack as your centres, you still need Lewis Roberts on one wing, and then are you talking Jack Smith on the other? Maybe, like, I don't know. I think that's just one step of inexperience too far, I think, for me. I certainly don't want to see McDonald at centre, and that's no offence to a player that I absolutely love, but he got torn apart by Ethan Masters, and I don't think it'll do his confidence any good playing out of position.
I don't think Rowan, that would be quite suicidal on Rowan's behalf after what we saw at Huddersfield, where Clune, Lolohea, Masters and Swift just chewed up that right edge of Leeds defence, and Newman and Fussy went off.
Do you think there's any other option?
I just think it's imperative to keep Reece Martin in the second row. I think I don't know whether Rowan will do that. Who knows what he'll do? But I'd go Ned on the wing. It depends because Ash is touch and go, and he's like 50-50.
Yeah, and I'm taking this on the fact that Ash is not fit.
Right. I think
if Ash is fit, then you put McCormack in the centres, I think.
Yeah. And I think if Ash is even 70-80% fit, Rowan's going to want to play him because he needs to win this game. So he's really going to push for Ash to play. So in an ideal world, it would be, for me, Ned on the wing, Roberts, Momorowski, Handley. But then if Ash isn't, I'd go Smith on one wing, Jack Smith on one wing, and Ned on the other.
Should a coach risk a player that might not be fully fit just because they need to win?
That's my line of thinking. There is that Rowan would do that. Maybe that's me plagiarizing Rowan.
No. I just wonder. When he said that, that question came to my head because I'm there. It's probably the cynical part of my brain because the differences of our difference in opinion potentially. But I'm like, well, if Hanley gets injured just because Rowan needs to win this game, I'm like, well, hang on a minute.
That's the thing.
For me, that's too big of a risk to play because then if you're around Handley and Fussy Tour for the year,
you could make it worse. The way I read into that was after the game, Rowan was a man under pressure. He's always been under pressure to the start of the whole year, but the way he was bagging the referee, first of all, diabolical. Don't want to hear it again. And then second of all, I thought this guy he's not cracking. He's cracked. He's cracked. The pressure's there, and Rowan Smith has. Yeah, in football, they show the football badge, and there's a crack at the back of paper.
Yeah,
Rowan Smith is cracked, and I think.
Well, you and JD both said he was very quiet or disconsolate in that post-match press conference. It wasn't.
So I think in that my taking away from that is if Ash is anywhere near, he's going to say, right, I need you because I need to fucking win this game.
And don't get us wrong, Ash will want to win as well because he'll want to play because he'll want to win.
I agree.
So it's not all down to the coach. It is a mix of the two.
But I do agree with you in that he shouldn't play unless he's absolutely fit because we've lost Fussy Tour now, and we're going to need Ash back on all cylinders because we're going to be patched up on the other side, whether it's Ned or Roberts.
Or Jack.
Personally, yeah, I'd play Smith and McCormack and say, right, lads, it's your game. There's a place there. Ash is going to come back, but there's a place on the other side. You're both playing. Show us what you can do, and one of you.
I like that. I kind of like that. A bit of a shootout.
Yeah.
Just go look.
Absolutely,
There's a spot remaining. Ash is going to be back.
And it's yours for the year or 10 weeks.
Yeah. Whoever's the shining light, this is your opportunity to go grab it.
Go. That's what
I like
do.
that. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to drop Roberts then and do what you do. I like that.
And then on the bench, I've got Jared.
Well, hang on a minute. We've still got the pack to talk about here.
What do you think? There's an issue there?
Well, we've got Aledzki. Aledzki will start because he's just brilliant. Akers, obviously, a hooker. Yeah. Then you've got the other prop. Obviously, Sangare's been starting in recent weeks.
Yeah.
We've seen Gudemon start there, but I think Gudemon will be, in my team, Martin's probably going to end up in second row. Centre, with a kid on the wing. So that means that I would be pushing Gudemon into second row with McDonnell. So, in terms of prop, I know what I want, and that is Little Tom to be starting.
CNW.
Instead of Sangare.
Yeah. Sangare bench.
So in my team, I'd be starting Nicholas Watt, and I'd be putting Gudemon into second row, which means it'd be Sanga,
Jared,
Lasone, Jared, and... See, the one time that Rowan doesn't have a back on his bench, and I said this in the match review, the one time he doesn't have it on is where we have all the injuries. So part of me thinks he will go down the Alfie Edgell route. But I also want to see Rowan getting more game time as well. So I would take the risk again, and I would keep it all forwards. So I would have Sanga, Lasone, Ruan, and O'Connor.
And O'Connor, all there.
With Edgell as 18th man.
Lackey Miller. Let's talk about Lackey. He seems to be a man that thrives on confidence and, for want of a better word, being a showboat and a flair player. Do you think the kind of, I don't want to talk about it again, but the goal line dropout and kind of the not quote unquote backlash from that from Rowan, etc. Do you think that would have chinked his armour at all, or do you think he's kind of a player that's just water for ducks back and he'll just be as he always is and put in a decent performance on Sunday?
I don't know. I'm not sure we know him well enough as fans yet, and and this is probably the first time that he's had a form of criticism, or there's been something about him that's said in the media, whether it's fans or whether it's by the coach. A good coach will say, "Look, I've apologised, didn't mean it in that way," or go say it wasn't intended that way. It's the line's been drawn. Let's move on and go from there. But if you're drawing that line, in my mind, the coach is going, let's just not fanny about it anymore. We've got too many injuries. Let's just stick to basic rugby. Just fucking hoof it. So look, I'm not sure we know Lucky well enough as fans yet to be able to know if that's knocked him or not. I do agree with you though, his confidence. I think it's someone that when he gets the ball and the fans, because we saw it when he was in that bottom right hand corner, the southeast corner, where he got out of a hole, 3 players, when he started the ball behind the try line. There ain't many people in Super League that can do that. It's probably him and Dufty that can do that. So I don't want him to lose that confidence. So I certainly hope that it has been addressed, i.e. a line's been drawn under it and we move forward now. And, regardless of what you think of Rowan, and I've had plenty of opportunity to talk about it last week in our really long podcast, if he's going to turn fans around, he's now got a good opportunity. Whether you think these next 2 games are the wrong games or the right games to have, he should be looking at it as the right games to have. And that, I think that starts again. For me, that draws with after the game, how he handled the defeat and how he handles that issue, that the hoo-ha in the media bit, and how they all move forward as a team.
I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm absolutely adamant he'll be absolutely fine. Let's wrap things up. Prediction. Statman Reese, take a heroic swig of your drink before you give us your prediction for this one. Breathe.
Well, Tom Briscoe's going to score the first try. I know that for an absolute fact.
Yes. Liam Sutcliffe?
He'll probably get one as well. To be fair, I love Liam Sutcliffe as well. I don't think this is going to be the walkover that Hull's, or I don't think we're going to give Hull a hiding. I think we've got, and I don't think that's not just a reflection. I think that's a reflection of the form that we're in, but I also think that's a reflection of key players that are missing. But even that said, it should still be a 20-odd point win, and therefore I'm going to go 30 points to 10.
Reece, that's a thrashing.
Well, considering Hull have been beaten by over 50 points for 4 or 5 games this year, and that, if you look at the stats of this game, and this is where it's going to be really bad. Last week, Hull FC had 35% possession and 6 plays of the ball. We had, in the opposition 20, we had 46% and a low of 12 again. Last week, Hull FC's slow 6 plays in the opposition 20 isn't their lowest. Their lowest is 3. They are not a good team. And there is no new coach bounce back either.
No. Which
I'm thankful for, because if Paul Rowley had gone there, I was absolutely certain they'd be winning in the last minute.
Liam Sutcliffe drop goal.
Yeah. So look, it should, if you are, look at the teams that have put 50 points in them. If you'd asked me in round 1 or after round 3, I'd have probably said 50 points. I still think 30 points to 10 has been ambitious, but I'm being hopeful because I don't want to be doing an emergency podcast on Sunday evening.
I'm going to say Leeds 48, Hull 12, because I do think Briscoe will score at least 1. I'm going to back Reece Martin to score 2 tries, and I think it'll be a nice, comprehensive win. Nice day out for the fans that are going over. We can all relax because we've only got London after that. Amazing. We will be back live on Sunday with the review of the whole game. So if you don't forget to follow us
going old school
on YouTube, we're going old school. We're going live. You can also join us in the YouTube live chat. We love having you guys watch along and reacting as we record the podcast. We put your comments on the screen. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell on YouTube, and you'll be notified when we do go live on Sunday. This podcast was brought to you by Fast Signs. Go ahead, Reece.
Just on YouTube, Eddie, I don't feel like we've appropriately celebrated the fact that we have got over 500 subscribers now.
We have. Thank you, everyone.
I can't remember if we have or celebrated, but we're going to mention it again anyway.
I don't think we mentioned it. I think we mentioned pushing for it.
Yeah.
But hey, now we're on the road to 1,000. So please tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody to subscribe to the Lot Pod, and we do appreciate it. And we will be back on Sunday live with the review of the Rhinos hammering Hull. We'll see you then.
God, I hope so.